Dragon Ball FighterZ is a game of dichotomies. Often you'll see one character excel in neutral dominance while other parts of their toolkit compensate in the name of roster balance. However, while FighterZ has never outright rewarded zoning as a core mechanic, looking at you, Frieza, it has risen in popularity as both its player base grows in character awareness and the game itself ages with time. Often you'll find yourself on the opposite end of the screen while the opponent's Broly dominates your projectile advances with priority ki blast, or your beam is outright beaten by the superior active frames and startup of UI Goku's 5S. And while complaining about projectile spamming is the quickest way for you to end up featured on scrub quotes, it's high time that a list was compiled that showed off the top characters whose toolkit naturally rewards anti-zoning playstyles. So, I'm the Dr. Blue, and this is the top 5 best anti-zoners in Dragon Ball FighterZ. Number 5, Cooler. Cooler's introduction into the game came at the tail end of Season 1, and during this time, FighterZ experienced its first drop-off in popularity post-EVO 2018, where it broke records in number of attendees and was one of the most watched games at the event. While many players were ecstatic at the inclusion of Frieza's older brother, upon launch he and his DLC pair Android 17 were met to less than enthusiastic reviews. Cooler remained relative in the spotlight thanks to his inclusion in Dagora's team in Season 2, as well as a semi-permanent spot on the roster of a popular YouTuber JM Croft's pre-DP assist nerf. However, one vital aspect of this character that was constantly met with praise was his 3H, a move that took him semi-full screen and cleanly beat both Ki Blast and Beam priority projectiles. This move is no joke, as it still catches sleeping players and woke contenders alike who'd fancy themselves out of harm's way against the behemoth. While it is truly an anti-zoning part of his toolset, Cooler finds himself in the number 5 spot simply because it doesn't go full screen, paling in comparison to the other contenders on this list. However, with the removal of fuzzies in Season 3, and many calling Cooler the sleeper top tier of this season, it's only a matter of time before we see this character back in the spotlight, and dominating the neutral game one beam at a time. Number 4, Kefla. Now, many of you will know my biases towards Kefla. During her announcement at the World Tour Finals, my microphone cracked upon her reveal. She was one of the most requested DLC characters, and while her initial inclusion into the DBS canon was met with less than positive reception, many diehards holding on to those resentments till this day. Even they would be hard-pressed to relent that she has one of the best anti-zoning moves baked right into her toolset. Her corner circle forward special has incredible active frames, beats every beam and ki blast cleanly, and can be manually timed to trick the opponent into approaching prematurely. While this move does give her full screen dominance, Kefla's found herself at the number 4 spot due to the immense amount of recovery frames attached to this tool. If a wise opponent knows what's coming, she's left vulnerable to empty vanishes or whiffed attempts. Yet while this move has its downsides, Kefla also finds herself with one of the best C assists in the game, actively devouring all incoming projectile attacks from your opponent, while also promising a full combo follow-up upon connection. Go Kefla, go Kefla, go. Number 3, Janemba. Janemba is another peculiar character because I, as well as many other lab enthusiasts, find him to contain some of the better tools in the game. He's in possession of one of the game's better auto combos with enormous range on his tail, as well as a built-in tick throw option in his final hit. He also has excellent ki blast, and his orb mix-up is still finding new applications till this day. However, he finds himself in the number 3 spot on this list simply due to his excellent portal ki punish. This move is everything you could want and more from a projectile counter. One hit and Janemba will maintain priority over the opponent, leaving them susceptible to any of his unique block strings and mind games. Further, on hit, this counter can be followed up without a vanish or an assist and can lead to a sliding knockdown situation. Put lightly, this move holds one of the premier spots on Janemba's toolkit. Similar to Cooler, with the removal of fuzzies in Season 3, Janemba is gaining in popularity, and it's my hopes that he becomes just as relevant as the other iconic villains from the DBZ non-canon film era. The 90s, with your Blockbuster and your arcades and your Wonder Balls. What a time. Number 2, Z Broly. Now, eagle-eared viewers that have made it this far will realize that I explicitly called out Z Broly as one of DBFZ's premier zoning characters, so how could he also be an anti-zoner? Well, for precisely the same reason, his ki blasts have incredible priority, beating every lower priority ki blast in the game aside from a few in which I'll mention briefly, as well as his incredible eraser blow, which not only has beam priority over the rest of the cast, but it is an armored move as well. If this character wasn't privileged enough, he also contains the coveted barrier move, which will devour all non-physical, non-super attacks thrown his way. On top of that, it lasts for an incredible amount of time, as you can see here, eating up 2 full reps of Kefla's ki blast. He's just walking there. Menacingly, Z Broly has risen in popularity in Season 3 after the amazing performance of To Kill Sage in the second World Tour Finals, yet don't be fooled, he's had die-hard mains since his initial launch. They've stuck with him from the moment he dropped alongside Bardock, Fighter's early poster boy for unnerfable top tier. From solid C tier in public opinion to top 5 in almost every modern tier list, it's safe to say Z Broly has earned his way to the top. Now before we get into my number 1 spot, I'd like to give an honorable mention to both Jiren and Nappa. Jiren does have an anti-zoning tool built into his toolset, yet due to the fact that his opponent can vanish out of the punish animation, it leaves a lot to be desired. It's a shame, he's only 1 or 2 buffs away from being viable, but don't let that fool you though. Ask Zeta Ray Zeki what the proverbial low tier can do in the right hands. He's deceptively destructive. Additionally, Nappa has been on a meteoric rise since his inclusion on Apology Man's team in Season 3, as well as being the focus of Wrath FGC's excellent educational content. Nappa's standing Ki Blast does deflect other Ki Blasts outright, even Lord Broly's, but fails to beat long Ki Blast strings and beams. Finally, I have an inkling of an idea that Hit might be an excellent anti-zoner, but due to my lack of experience with the character, I'm hesitant to add him on this list, but if you think that he does belong there, hey, let me know in the comments below. I've been hit by that stance mix-up one too many times to count him out. And finally, number 1, UI Goku, the Big Papa, the Supreme Form. The Goku who can't the least. You either love him or you hate him, and it's not hard to see why. While you'll hear his critics say that his routes feel predetermined, all of his day 1 mains will tell you that he more than makes up for it in the absolute plethora of fantastic tools he harbors in his kit. Better auto combo than Bardock? Check. Plus frames at the end of block strings? Check. Very hard to punish 2H? Check. Oh, and now we find ourselves talking about the insane amount of anti-zoning potential this character holds. First, he can walk through Ki Blast, an inclusion which makes him a peg above the others in the cast no matter how strongly or competitively viable you believe that move is. His 5S does have a very quick startup, which can go full screen on both ground and the air, and while it is a skilled starter, because UI Goku has access to some of the easiest touch of deaths in the game and 2-touch combos as well, it doesn't quite matter. Additionally, he can also nope his way out of projectile supers with his excellent flippity floppity get off of my property Rekka series. He can either end in a command grab, a move that leaves him plus on block, or an EX version which will absolutely crumple you upon hit, setting up either a full combo or a reset scenario in the right hands. This character has it all, and whether or not Arc System Works meant to, they created one of the most accurate depictions of UI Goku to date, and perhaps the most loyal portrayal of turning off your brain and still achieving victory ever committed to the fighting game genre. So that's it, that's my list. If you found it interesting, feel free to like, share, and subscribe because it does help the channel. I love these videos, so hey, if you have a top 5 for Dragon Ball FighterZ you'd like to see a list created for, let me know. If I end up making it, you'll get a shout out in the video. For now, you're incredible. Remember, I'm the Dr. Blue, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!